New video captured by CBS News shows a group of migrants at the U.S. Mexico border attempting to enter the country illegally after crossing the Rio Grande. Now, this happened near El Paso, one of the areas along the Texas border that the state National Guard has fortified with razor wire and other barriers. This as Texas Governor Greg Abbott announces over $500 million in grants for public safety programs throughout the state, and that includes border security. Later on today, the governor is slated to make yet another border security announcement. CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez joins us live from El Paso. Camilo, thank you for being with us. Remind us again what Governor Abbott has done there at the border in recent years and what more the state could do once the Trump administration takes over.
Good morning, Liz. The Texas government under Governor Greg Abbott has overseen what is arguably the most aggressive and concerted effort by a state to challenge the federal government's power and purview over immigration and border policy. Under Governor Abbott, the state, of course, has bused tens of thousands of migrants to Democratic-led cities like New York City, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Chicago, and Washington, D.C. It has also deployed the Texas Trooper Guard here to arrest migrants on state trespassing charges. The National Guard has also been dispatched to the U.S. Mexico border to fortify the banks of the Rio Grande with razor wire and other barriers to repel migrants from entering the country illegally. And the state has even tried to enact its own immigration law, SB 4, that would allow local law enforcement officials at the state level to arrest, jail, and prosecute migrants suspected of crossing this border behind me unlawfully. That is currently held up in court, and it does appear that Texas is also poised to play a major role in helping the incoming Trump administration achieve many of its immigration plans, including that promised mass deportation operation. The Texas Land Commissioner recently offered the incoming Trump administration land near the Texas border to detain migrants awaiting deportation.
And Camilo, you also went on a ride-along with a Texas trooper in El Paso just yesterday. What did you see and learn from that experience?
That's right, Liz. We went on a ride-along with Texas Department of Public Safety Sergeant Elliot Torres here in El Paso, Texas, and we asked him about the controversy surrounding the razor wire, which the state says is an effective deterrent, but what critics argue is an inhumane policy. Let's take a listen. In some people's eyes, this is inhumane because the migrants could get hurt trying to cross. How would you respond to that?
It's an optic. Yes, it's razor wire sharp, and there's a reason why it looks this way, so that they can not cross over. But I don't know if you saw the Texas Military Division Department when they were out here. They were actually pointing to them and telling them where to walk. So in a way, it's stopping them from crossing here. And on the other side, the flip side of what we do is, protect and serve. We're telling them where to go. So that's the communication we hope to have with them to get there to a port of entry safely without having to cross over this way.
And Liz, just moments before we posed that question to Sergeant Torres, we actually spotted a group of about 20 migrants who were in the middle of the Rio Grande, including young children crossing with their parents. Wow. And yes, in fact, the razor wire and the other barriers set up by the state of Texas prevented them from entering U.S. soil and from crossing into the country illegally. So again, Texas would argue that this razor wire and the fencing here is having the intended impact.
And Camilo, President-elect Trump, as you mentioned earlier in this hit, is set to make immigration a policy priority once he takes office. What changes can we expect on day one?
Well, the incoming administration, Liz, is planning to oversee a dramatic and seismic shift in U.S. immigration policy, including here at the U.S. Mexico border. The incoming Trump administration is planning to reinstate the so-called Remain in Mexico program that requires migrants to await their asylum hearings on the other side of this wall in Mexico. That will, of course, require the consent of the Mexican government. The incoming administration, of course, is also planning to oversee what the president-elect has called the largest deportation operation in American history. To do that, the incoming administration is planning to reverse current Biden administration rules that limit who ICE agents can arrest and deport from the country, making most immigrants who are in the country unlawfully eligible to be deported and also to be sent back to their home countries. But there will be some logistical, operational, and diplomatic challenges. For example, ICE right now, Liz, only has about 41,000 detention beds and 6,000 deportation officers. That is not nearly enough to detain everyone who is in the country illegally and to deport them to their home countries. So the agency will need more funding from the Congress, or it would need help from other agencies like the Department of Defense, which is one of the ideas that Trump administration officials, incoming Trump administration officials like Tom Homan, the incoming border czar, have talked about, enlisting the help of the U.S. military. Liz.
Yeah, because there's talk of deporting hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of people. All right, CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez. Thank you so much, Camilo, reporting there on the border.